What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and restructuring that blue line that needs a lot of help. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. Definitely a big video here. If you didn't see my last video, I talked about the Maple Leafs goaltending trade options and what they could potentially do there. And now I'm looking at the blue line because it needs a lot of help. Also, you need a lot of help, make sure to go to Manscaped, APH20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's code APH for 20% off and free shipping. Make sure to go and check that out. Definitely go get that face shaver. It's so amazing. It's actually really good. I've been using it. I don't promote products that I don't use. I definitely use it. It's helping me try to get this monstrosity back in order. So anyways, make sure to go do that APH20 at Manscaped. APH20, go use it. But this is the video that we need to talk about. This has been brutal, this Leafs blue line. They have so many problems. They have so many issues on this team, and the blue line is definitely the number one thing. And what kills me is during the offseason, Brad Treliving was like, yeah, my goal is to like restructure this blue line, to redo the blue line and get this where it needs to be. So like when was he, like next offseason? Like when was he talking about redoing the blue line? Because bringing in Benoit and Klingberg didn't really do much. Now, I do like Benoit. I think he's been doing really well. But like I've been saying, there's been two issues with this team. One is the goaltending, and these are the numbers. Like I said, I brought it up in my last video. The goaltending hasn't been good. It hasn't been consistent, and there's been injuries. But the other big thing is the blue line, and we're gonna look at that now. But the most interesting thing that I want to bring up here, and I believe, who was this? I don't want to be disrespectful, so I want to look up who wrote this article. I think it was Luke Fox. Man, that's a long thing here. Sportsnet staff, good, that helps me. But it's a very strange thing that's going on here, and I believe that this is something from Real Kipper and Bourne, and potentially Elliot Friedman. So there's been this like rumor whether or not the Maple Leafs will be buying or like resetting their roster. So the conversation around this team centers around how good they really are compared to expectations. Should these Leafs be buyers once again at the deadline, or are there roster holes and inconsistencies exposing them as a team that should instead take the season to reshape things? Now, what Elliot Friedman says here is very interesting. I think Toronto's thinking bigger picture. I don't think this is about this year anymore. I think they're thinking about where they're going. I really wonder if deep down the organization is saying we're not good enough to win this year. We are resetting and reshaping our roster. The more I think about the Nylander negotiation, getting him signed, it was about what does our structure look like so we can start to rebuild that roster. Now, a lot of people are going to see the word rebuild and freak out. I don't think that it necessarily means the same thing that you think it does, because going into next season, you know, guys like Tyler Bertuzzi, John Klingberg, Max Domi, all these guys that they gave a bunch of money to in the offseason, that's all going away, and the cap is going up. Now, if you want to re-sign any of those guys, definitely not Klingberg, but if you want to re-sign any of those guys, of course, it's going to cost you a little bit, but I don't think Tyler Bertuzzi has made himself any extra money. He's probably cost himself some money. So, again, we can get into that in a different video, but the Maple Leafs need to restructure this team, and what it's looking like and what it sounds like and what it's looked like before with Brad Treliving with the Calgary Flames is that he doesn't make big trades during the season. He's not like Kyle Dubas, where Dubas, he would go out and do a bunch of stuff at the deadline to try to make this team better. I don't think Brad Treliving's going to be doing the same thing. And, you know, I'm not trying to compare the two GMs here, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an insight on what I did say when Brad Treliving was brought into this team and when Kyle Dubas was let go. And I said, be careful what you wish for, because a lot of people were asking for Kyle Dubas to be gone. But looking at this team right now, this team looks like a worse team, right? Like a lot of the guys that he's brought in, and this is Treliving, they haven't done anything, right? Like the biggest contributors on this team have been guys like Benoit, who he got for like league min, and same thing with Martin Jones. And none of those guys were any of the big ticket items that he signed during the offseason. Now, I have liked Max Domi. I have liked Tyler Bertuzzi at times, but not for the money that was spent on them. Now, you're also going to look towards an extension like William Nylander. People are like, oh, this is Dubas setting the precedent. No, Treliving doesn't have to sign Willie for that much money, but he did, right? So I said be careful what you wish for, because GMs, a lot of these GMs do similar things, and this comparison between Dubas and Treliving, they're kind of doing similar things, except retooling a roster during the season is not something that Brad Treliving does. But the Maple Leafs might not have a choice, because their blue line does not look very good. They don't have horses. They don't have guys that chew up minutes. They don't have physicality besides Benoit and McCabe. Because if you look at these numbers, the Maple Leafs need another guy that can be comparable time on ice to Morgan Rielly. And I love TJ Brody, but he's really fallen off. They need to get this guy third pairing minutes. He needs to be in the 17-minute range and be protected a little bit. Excuse me, and we'll get to that in a bit. But Klingberg was averaging 20 minutes. He's gone. He won't ever play again for the Maple Leafs. I do wish him the best, though. Jake McCabe, right in the sweet spot at 20 minutes. He's been fantastic, in my opinion. Liljegren has been better than people are giving him credit for. Gio has been really bad. And then you start to get into Timmins and Benoit and such. But if we're looking at this team, this is how I structure this team. So Morgan Rielly, obviously far and away the best guy on the team. They need another guy that can play with him at the top of this roster. Another horse that can play 23, 24 minutes, even if it's a stopgap for this season, like a Chris Tanev just for 1 year. That's fine, but then they're going to have to address it again next season because he's a free agent. I don't mind keeping Tanev around, but he would probably be just like a third pairing replacement for TJ Brody, as he's also a free agent next season. But if we're talking this year, we need somebody here. Jake McCabe and Liljegren, I'm fine with. Benoit and Brody as a protector for this bottom pairing would be fantastic. I don't mind doing something like this. So Benoit learns from a really good defensive guy like Brody, but playing in limited minutes against lesser competition would probably do Brody really well. But we need a horse. We need a big name there. You'll probably end up trading Connor Timmins. Laguson's probably going to be sent down, and you'll have Gio as your extra guy. So the Maple Leafs need to find a way to get that big horse in the back end. And like I said before, I wouldn't mind bringing in a stopgap this year if you're going to be trading for a Chris Tanev. He blocks shots. He chews up minutes. It's basically a more fresh TJ Brody. Tanev has played better than Brody this year, even though they're both getting older. But Brody getting less minutes, he would do fine. Like Brody against lesser competition, playing 17 to 18 minutes a night, in that Geo spot, he would do a much better job, in my opinion. So you play him with Benoit, no problem. You get that physicality, protect Brody a little bit defensively. Brody can kind of patch in any mistakes for Benoit. It would work out pretty well. You get McCabe, who's been solid on that second pairing. Liljegren, who's been solid, put him there. But then get a big horse for that top pairing, whether it's this regular season before the trade deadline or it's next season. The Maple Leafs really need to overhaul this blue line. Next year, they need two big defensemen. They need two really good defensemen to make this team better. And, I'm going to do some more research. I'm going to look into some names. But obviously, Tanev has been a name that's been mentioned before. There's been some really weird ones, like I believe Ristolainen was even mentioned. I'm not even going to address that. I think that's stupid. People still seem to bring up Colton Parayko. That's never going to happen, and I don't think he's as good as people say. But the Maple Leafs really need to do their due diligence. They need to look into some big names. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some defensemen. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to make another video. And I want you guys also to comment down below. Tell me which player you would want. What defenseman would you want? What would you trade? Make a realistic trade. Let's not get too crazy. And tell me what you guys would think. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. Let me know what you guys think about the Maple Leafs and what they can do next, because this team is hurting for help. They definitely need some help. This team is not playing up to the par that they should be. And like, why didn't this defense get the overhaul that we were promised so long ago? Why isn't there an overhaul done by Brad Treliving? So let me know. I love and appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want to save 20% and get free shipping at Manscaped, use code APH20 for 20% off and free shipping. APH20 at Manscaped. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.